Hello, my name is Philip Regier, and I am the University Dean for Education Initiatives at Arizona State University and the CEO of an organization within the university called Ed+. Ed+ is the organization within the university that's responsible for advancing everything that the university does with digital teaching and learning technology. It is my pleasure this morning to introduce the person who's going to welcome you to campus, President Michael Crow. President Crow began his tenure at ASU in July of 2002, and since that time he has transformed this university into a new model for what an American research public university can be. That is exemplified by two important characteristics of the university. First, we do research that advances public value. That is exemplified by last year's research expenditures, which exceeded over $620 million. In terms of non-medical research expenditures, that is more research expenditures in universities such as Columbia, Harvard, University of Chicago, UCLA. At the same time and simultaneously, we provide access to the university to an increasing number of students, as a public university should. We have increased the number of on-campus students from 50,000 to well over 75,000, and increased the number of online students to over 40,000 in the current academic year. So, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce President Michael M. Crow, the 16th President of Arizona State University.
Thank you, Phil. I feel a little bit weird standing up on this stage, so there must be some reason for this stage. Just good morning, everybody. Welcome to Arizona. Welcome to ASU. I was telling some folks earlier, that a lot of people that haven't been to Arizona before, and how many have not been to Arizona before? Yeah. Well, we just got electricity here like 3 years ago, and the first 13 or 14 years I was here at the university, we didn't have any electricity. And so it was really hard to just get some things done. And now once we got electricity, man, we have computers and video screens, and learning analytics is like a really important thing to us, and because you need electrons for some of that, and not all of it, but some of it. So here's what we decided some time ago. So a lot of great private universities in the United States have turned themselves into honors colleges, and they only admit A students. I came from one of those, Columbia University. I used to be a trustee of another one called Bowdoin College. A lot of great public universities have done the same thing. For various reasons, they've decided to become honors colleges, and they only admit students of the highest academic qualification out of high school. How many of you were A+ students in high school? Yeah, quite a few of you. How many were A students in high school? B students in high school? How many of you were below B students in high school? Yeah, well, too bad for you B and C students, because I can give you the list of the top 100 colleges and universities in the United States. You ain't going. You got no way to get in. None. So there's a few of us out there, including us demonstrably. The easiest way for me to think about how to raise what was then thought of as America's largest and most successful party school, that was us, into a modern and fully functional research university was to do two things. The first thing was to wipe out the bottom half of the freshman class, those students coming in with B averages. And the second thing was to build a medical school. Now, you know that when all college and university presidents, all go to hell, and when you arrive in hell, you're given some things to actually work with. You're given a football team and 2 medical schools. And so we decided not to do a medical school, but to partner with others and so forth and so on. And we decided not to cut out the bottom half of our freshman class, but to embrace the bottom half of our freshman class, and to maintain the possibility that in the United States you could still build an unbelievably egalitarian university that actually admitted everyone that was qualified, not the people that were super qualified, the people that were actually qualified. Admit them, and then, oh, by the way, say that the public university was a failure, unless its student body was representative of the totality of socioeconomic diversity. And oh, by the way, if you do have a student body that's representative of the totality of socioeconomic diversity, which we do, I didn't want that up yet. If you do have that student body, which we do, then you're operating on a more egalitarian basis. And you, by the way, in fact, you over-capture ethnic diversity if you capture socioeconomic diversity. So almost no research university in the United States, almost no university in the United States is representative of the totality of socioeconomic diversity. We are, which took us 13 years to accomplish. So here's an example. We have 3,100 Native American students on campus from 225 Native American tribes. And I always hear from people that are largely ignorant about Native American tribes. They say, well, do you have 200 tribes in Arizona? We say, no, we have 23 tribes in Arizona. And we have students from 200 other tribes that come here because we have a system, a program, a design which warmly welcomes them to this institution, both financially, pedagogically, from an outcomes perspective, from an achievements perspective. So long story short, before I move to this, where we are, because I was really excited to be able to have to come over here because, as I said to your leadership team, we need everything that you all are working on. You people are too slow. We need more advanced learning analytics. We need more, better, faster tools. We need them proven. We need them tested because we're working up against a really, really cruel thing. The disbelief of egomaniacal faculty members who believe that the only way that you can learn or prove learning is in a small classroom with a single faculty member working with a small number of students under the tutelage of the great mind, and that from that tutelage of that great mind somehow then learning actually occurs. And we're like, okay, who could ever build enough colleges or universities to ever educate the number of people that we need to educate at the university level to fill that within that model? And the answer is, that's somebody else's problem. Well, we decided to take that problem on. So we changed everything, most importantly, faculty culture. This is not a faculty-centric university, this is a student-centric university. And our faculty would be the first to agree with that. They're actually the third priority in the institution. The first priority is the students. You're in our student government headquarters, designed by them, all of our coalitions, every group that we have. It's a very different kind of place. Student-centric. The second group that we're focused on is the community, not the faculty. And finally, the third group that we're really focusing our energy on is the faculty themselves. So we changed the culture, empowered the design, we eliminated 80 academic units. We created Phil's unit and gave it every technological tool that anyone could find, linking up with everyone that's out there to find new ways to change how we are able to operate. We then built a student body that is actually completely and comprehensively representative of the socioeconomic diversity of our country. We then mushed all of this together, design empowerment of our faculty, student centrism of our culture. We changed the clock speed of the university. So how many of you work at universities? I mean, clock speed, the clocks, most of them don't even work on the walls anywhere. Nobody actually cares what time it is. The smallest unit of time is a 50-minute class. The next smallest unit of time is a semester. All academic decisions take between 8 and 14 semesters. And it's just too slow. So we changed clock speed also. If it's important, therefore, it must be important enough to do quickly, to do at least with dispatch to make things happen. So we mushed all this together, all these changes. So in 2002, or since 2002, here's some things that all these changes have produced. So student body now representative of all socioeconomic diversity. 75,000 on-campus students, up from 47,000 on-campus students. Doubled the four-year graduation rate across all groups of students. We now have the highest four-year graduation rate of any research university that admits A and B students to its freshman class. There's a lot of really proud schools out there. They're really so proud, like where I came from at Columbia, just ever so proud. They have a really high four-year graduation rate. Of course, they only admit the maniacal geniuses from high school. Like, they don't even need to go to college, and you're so happy that they graduated. So, double the four-year graduation rate. We have 3 times the number of graduates. So we went to 25,000 graduates will graduate this year from 8,000. 5 times the level of research, 15 times the number of learners. We have hundreds of thousands of learners connected to us from 195 countries using learning platforms. We have the first accredited, or among the first accredited, online undergraduate engineering degrees, unbelievable adaptive learning systems, unbelievable analytical systems, by which we get also huge amounts of doubt. So we have people coming here to review us for accreditation, and they say, your data is all wrong, you must be liars. Liars, that's like fighting words. And you're in Arizona, and let me tell you how fights go in Arizona. This is the old West, buddy. Step outside. And so we've convinced most people, but not all. But what we need help with is where we're headed. So let me show you this chart here. So if you look at the far left of this chart, this is sort of where we're headed. We now have, we actually trademarked the term universal learner. So if you need that, just let us know. And so under our idea of universal learner, we're trying to alter the way that we're thinking about the university. So blue, pre-K, the kid at home, the kid in some kind of home environment. What we need out of step one is verbal and conceptual empowerment, an empowered learner. Maximum vocabulary, maximum conceptual capability, every asset, every resource, every learning tool, every learning analytic, everything possible to get the child to that blue threshold. That blue threshold then is ready to engage in more formal learning, lots of different types, homeschooling, charter schools, parochial schools, public schools, online, whatever. I mean, they're all going to operate. If you have preferences for any of them, just keep your preferences to yourself and don't try to destroy someone else's preferences. This is another thing that goes on here in Arizona. You can actually do what you want here. And so in that K-12 window, what we're after is a fully prepared learner being produced. Now, that has to be analytically demonstrated. We have to understand what a fully prepared learner is, and we have to be able to demonstrate that in every possible way, something probably other than just these simple, we're behind in the 4th grade math test. We're behind in 3rd grade reading. That's it. Reading and math, those are the two things that we're going to measure in some sort of standard way. They're among the things that we need to measure. So we need a lot of help in the measurement of the green zone. Then we're of the view that once you're the prepared learner, and we need to get 90% of the people through high school before 18 or before 16, we think that the things about allowing people to drop out of high school are stupid. We think that the notion that somehow people have to be 18 to get out of high school, that's probably also stupid. It depends where you are. Are you ready to move now on into, are you a prepared learner? And when you're a prepared learner, measured somehow, and you all have to give us the tools of measurement at every possible level, also highly individualized, since I guarantee you there's no two people in this room that learn the same way, think the same way, process the same way. How could it possibly be? Think about the people that you live with. You can't even agree where to go to dinner. You can't agree how to raise your children. I mean, it's all kinds of funny, different kinds of things. And so imagine learning is much more complicated than that. Then the prepared learner, by whatever means necessary, becomes what we call a lifelong learner, or what we're trademarking as universal learner. Then all we're trying to show by this squiggly slide is that some go to college, some don't. Now, by the way, those that go to college, half of those that go to college in the United States at 17 or 18 go and never graduate. More than half, never graduate. We haven't done enough assessment. We haven't done enough individualization. We haven't done enough customization. We haven't recognized all the things that you all can measure. What is the intelligence type of this particular learner? What's the makeup of this learner? What's the capacity? What's the empowerment of this learner? What's the pathway for this learner's success? Down to the individual. Down to the individual. So then we're building a university that then takes 75,000 undergraduates on campus with us, or 75,000 students on campus with us, and creates a learning environment for them, greatly enhanced. And what we need learning analytics in every class, every mechanism, every step along the way, measuring learning progress, learning outcomes, learning thresholds, learning connections, and so forth. Tools, devices, systems, we have some, we have many, we have hundreds of them deployed. Now, what percentage of kids go to college or university? Not very many. A lot go to community colleges, a lot go into the military, a lot go to work. And so the notion then is, how do we create a learning platform with learning assessments along the way which squiggle through a person's life? So they need we have technical schools here and other pathways, just as the top and the bottom on the far right. Just as examples, you might go to technical school, you might pick up a coding skill, you might go to art school, culinary school, you might learn this, you might learn that, you might become a fabulous gardener in this gardening club that you're a part of. All these learning outcomes are unbelievably valuable. We don't recognize more than half of them. We don't assess most of them. We don't know how to link any of them together. We don't know how to measure the actual performance of the learner across this spectrum of activity. What we do is we say, well, we've got these colleges and you need to go there before you're 22. and do really well, and I'm really sorry that your mother had cancer. So it turns out there's 35 million people in the United States that didn't graduate from college, and if you listen to all their stories, they all have a story. They're also all very angry. We know this. We have 11,000 of them as our students in our Starbucks project alone. Anger is the thing that we were not ready for. Resentment, anger. I'm a great learner. I'm a great student. This is what happened to me when I was a freshman at Princeton. I left there with a 0.08 grade point, and they didn't want to talk to me after that anymore. And so what we are trying to do is try to design a way in which we can embrace learners across the entirety of their life, including when they're here with us. So we have 75,000 on-campus students learning with us in a completely modified learning environment. That's maybe a quarter of the total modification done. We have 40,000 online degree-seeking students admitted to the university pursuing very advanced online degrees. How many of you have actually taken an online course that wasn't something out of the 1970s? Yeah, so a handful of you. So most people critique things and talk about online things. They don't even know what it is. We'll get you signed up for our digital photography course. Where's Phil? We'll get you signed up for some of our courses if you want to see what an actual modern online course is like, what a modern online lab is like, what a system that can do signal processing and electronic circuit design is actually capable of doing in modern computationally based, computationally driven learning, and then think about the learning analytics of all of that. And then in addition to the 75,000 on-campus degree seekers and the 40,000 online degree seekers, we have 600,000 or so other people who are mulling around and milling around inside our learning environment, sampling a course, taking a course, looking at our Global Freshman Academy from 195 countries. We thought, hey, if we could do that, I bet we could really put something online that could really help high school students or people that want to go back and rethink what they had at high school. So we deployed a little digital preparatory academy. We've got 12,000 learners. We haven't even advertise the thing yet. Don't even know what we're doing. And so the point here, and this is really my final point for all of you, if you've got ideas, if you've got tools, if you've got analytics, you all are the cavalry. You are the people coming to help win the battle associated with how we're going to modernize learning, how we're going to do this. How are we going to do the blue, the green, and the orangish looking thing there? How are we going to make all of that happen? Without the tools that can prove learning outcomes, without the tools that can enhance learning outcomes, without the analytic capability to know what we're doing, we're going to continue to be thwarted by, here's a really, really weird English phrase, filiopietistic constraints. People who are only about tradition. I got into an argument with the president of Columbia University on the radio a few years ago, where he said, you know, everybody needs to go to college, and they need to go to college for 4 years. There's one way to do college. I said, yeah, there's one way to do college, especially if you're rich. It's to find somebody to give you a scholarship to go to Columbia for $70,000 a year, or your parents to pay for you to go to Columbia for $70,000 a year, to be immersed with a world-class faculty, and to use that as a learning experience. If that is the answer to educational outcomes, then we will fail. He doesn't like me. And so that's a way. And if you can get in and you can afford it, it's a fabulous way. But if you can't, there might need to be other ways, and we have tried to build one of those other ways. So let's see. Did they warn you about the flying scorpions? Is anybody staying below the 5th floor of their hotel? Anybody? Some of you? All right. Did they give you the black lights? So the black lights is how you see the scorpions in your room. You can't see them without the black lights. Now everybody knows there's scorpions in Arizona, right? It's the flying ones you got to watch out for. They don't bother you unless you're below the 5th floor. So, all right. So you happen to be, by the way, just to orient you, you're on one of our 4 academic campuses, although we don't run ourselves as a system. We have no we only have deans on our campuses. We have no provosts or chancellors or anything like that on any of our campuses, including we have a campus 9 miles from here that has 13,000 students on it in downtown Phoenix. We also have 4 innovation campuses, including one where our Ed Plus program is located, and we operate all of this through the technological wonders of the present-day world as a single thing. So just on behalf of everybody that's here, our 30,000 staff, our 115,000 students, you know, the people that we've got associated with the university. I just want to welcome you to Arizona State. Thank you.